Retirement, the light at the end of the tunnel that we're all chasing, especially many of you watching this. The reason you watch this channel is because you want to know how to retire better, retire sooner, all those different things. Many people think that they have to wait until they're 62, 65, somewhere in their 60s to retire. But what if I was to tell you that as a federal employee, you could retire early? And not just early, you could retire in your 40s even. I've met people that retire in their 40s that are federal employees. And today I'm going to tell you how you can do so. This is Cooper with FedRetirementPlanning.com. Let's get into it. Now, before I start, just with about any video I do, if you click the link in the bio below, you'll be taken to my website, FedRetirementPlanning.com, where you can actually download the ebook that I've written on this topic, How to Retire Early as a Federal Employee. Okay, so as a federal employee, you're well aware that the majority of people around you are waiting to retire until they reach that retirement age, somewhere within their 60s typically. Some people retire within their 50s, but it's mostly people within their 60s. But there's this idea that I want to present to you, and it's called financial independence. And financial independence is a little bit different from retirement. Financial independence basically means that you no longer have to work for money. Okay, so you no longer have to do, the things that you're currently doing for money because you don't have to make the money. You can live off your retirement funds that you have saved, set to the side. Okay, so the big idea behind financial independence is not that you don't work, it's just that you don't have to work. So you can take jobs that you enjoy. So really, the goal is to get to a point where you no longer have to work in the federal government. If you don't want to, you can retire and then start a career somewhere else. So some part-time work and something that you enjoy, okay? Because many of you federal employees enjoy your job, but many of you do not as well, okay? So if you don't enjoy your job, it would allow you to leave that job and start a different career. So something like building homes or, starting an Etsy shop or just doing something that you enjoy for productivity's sake, not for financial sake. So the next question I inevitably get from my clients when I tell them this is, Cooper, how does a federal employee become financially independent? I don't make enough, I don't do enough, all these different issues come up. Well, first off, the biggest limiting factor for you is the limiting belief that you can't do it, okay? You have to believe that it's possible in order to achieve anything, okay? So that goes for anything, but if you don't believe that you can retire early, it's obviously not gonna happen. So you have to throw out the idea that you have to work until 62, 65 because everyone else is doing it. Okay, I'm gonna show you the reason that everyone else is doing that, and I see it day in and day out. Now, I wanna make it clear that this isn't a definitive video on how to retire early, okay? This is a basic overview of how to do so. If you wanna get into the nitty-gritty, you can do it on your own. It's also something that I help people with who want to retire early, creating a plan to do so. But right now, I'm just gonna tell you 3 steps on how you can retire early. The first step is to create a plan of attack. Now, I know what you're saying, okay, Cooper, you're a financial planner and you're telling us to create a plan. Yes, I am. I always tell you this. It's because it's important. You need a plan on how much you need to save, how much you need to spend, where your money should go, all these different things that combine into a plan in order for you to get to where you want to go. And ultimately, where you want to go is to be in retirement and to be able to live comfortably how you'd like to, okay? And that's where a plan comes in. So the first step in most of these things that I tell you about is to create a plan, okay? You can do this on your own. You could also hire a financial planner, but it is possible to do on your own. The second one is something that, not many of you want to do, but it's something that you need to do if you want to retire early, and that is spend less than you make, okay? The biggest problem that I see with people retiring early is that they live beyond their means. They spend too much. Their discretionary expenses are way too high. They're spending on things like entertainment expenses, clothing, all these material possessions that they feel will make them happy. But the idea really isn't that they make them happy. They just make them want to continue to buy more things. That's kind of the psychological reason behind those things. Okay? So you have to become happy with just things that don't cost money. Okay, so things like, going to a park, finding entertainment in the little, okay? And I'm not somebody who says this and does something different. This is something that my family has adopted. So I bike to work. That's one thing that I do to save on, maintenance expenses on my car, save on gasoline. We also eat mostly at home. We don't spend a lot of money eating out. We do a lot of things that don't require money, so we can put money more towards our retirement. These are things that I do, and that's the reason I'm telling you to do them, because I know that it's possible. And I know that it's possible for a federal employee. It's not about how much income you make, it's how much you save. Okay? So don't think that because you're not a doctor making, 6 figures that you can't retire early. Okay? You just have to lower your expenses. And you can live below spending $30,000 a year. It's possible to spend less than $30,000 a year. There's many people countrywide that are doing it and are able to save for their retirement. It's something you can do as well. The third thing you can do is to max out your TSP and then some, okay? So this video is made in 2017. Right now you can put in around $18,000. There's also a $5,000 catch-up provision once you reach 55, or actually once you reach 50. But you can max that out, and you're going to want to, because you're going to have all this excess cash because you're not using it towards expenses, okay? Because you're keeping your expenses low. Okay, so you can max out your TSP, you're going to take full advantage of the match, and then you're going to put more into other accounts, okay? Things like Roth IRAs or traditional IRAs outside the federal system. Okay, now I know what you must be thinking. There's an elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is that the federal government really wants you to retire at a certain age. They have something called an MRA, also known as a minimum retirement age. And I'll put a table up here just so you can see exactly what the age breaks are. But they want you to retire if you're after 1970, if you're born after 1970, they want you to retire at around 57 years old. And if you were born before that, they want you to retire a little bit younger than that, but it's really around 55 to 57. That's when they want you to retire. Now that is earlier than most people retire, but I think it's possible to retire before then. I really do, and I think many people are limiting themselves by continuing to work until they reach their minimum retirement age when they don't really have to, okay? When you start looking at things, most people don't retire because they don't think they have enough money. But when you start to actually plan and look at your expenses and how they're going to be in retirement and all these things, there's a lot of people that could actually retire even though they wouldn't think they could. And that's because they haven't done the planning to do so. Okay? And that's where I come in to help you in that. Or that's where you do your research and you're able to figure it out on your own. Now, there's a phrase that I want you to remember and to keep in your back of your mind, because this is what you're working towards. It's called deferred retirement. And deferred retirement basically means that you retire from federal service, but you delay your benefits until you reach your minimum retirement age. And the reason for that is so that you can actually receive your retirement benefits. So this allows you to retire earlier, not receive any of the benefits, and then receive them later on. So if you end up anywhere from 5 to 30 years of service before you reach your minimum retirement age, you can just delay your benefits from that time until the time you retire. So then what do you do in the meantime? That's the question that I get. So what do I do in between the time that I retire from my federal job and the time that I start receiving my benefits, my pension, things like that? Well, you can live off your contributions in your IRA account. So if you contribute to a Roth IRA, for instance, you can use the contributions that you added to that account, okay? Penalty free, you're not gonna pay a penalty on that because it's in a Roth IRA. Okay, but another thing you can do is because you've got low expenses, you just keep living the way you're living, and you get a part-time job that basically is something you enjoy. Maybe it could be an entrepreneurship opportunity, something that brings satisfaction to you. Because I don't think retirement looks like sitting on the couch doing nothing. Retirement, in my opinion, is something that requires productivity. Okay, you want to continue doing some sort of work, but doing some sort of work that you enjoy, something that you wake up and you go, man, I'm glad I get to go to work today, or I'm glad I get to do this. Or something, if you're an entrepreneur, you can just say, okay, I'm staying home today because I just want to hang out. Okay, that's what part-time retirement looks like. So this is a starting point. This is very basic, and this is an idea that I'll probably talk on more in the future, but I did want to bring it up just for you federal employees that think it's not possible, because I'm telling you it is possible. I've even done an interview with somebody who retired in the 40s. It's on the website. I'll put a link in the bio below for you to check it out. But it is possible for you to retire before you have to, before your minimum retirement age, before your 60s. It's possible to do so, okay? And those of you that get an optional early retirement, that's even better because you can go out and actually begin your benefits when they offer that to you. And you know, with the way that the government's going and the way that, you know, a lot of jobs are being shut down because the government is kind of minimizing in certain areas but maximizing in others, like the military, you may have the opportunity for an early retirement sooner than you thought. And it could be something where you could take that early retirement and actually start your benefits when that happens. You wouldn't have to use the deferred retirement. But this has been Cooper with FedRetirementPlanning.com. I hope this episode was helpful. You know, this is something that I got questions on, and you know, it's something I do myself. I'm very passionate about, so I wanted to share it with you. But let me know what your thoughts are. Is this something that's possible for you, do you think, or do you not believe it's possible? How have you been able to do so? Or do you have any advice for those federal employees that are trying to do an early retirement as well? But I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.
On the level, I'm climbing up the ladder while you bring me up a shovel.